Hey, how you doing? Justin here for Tammy's. How many lessons in are we now?
Are we on 7 or 6?
Don't know.
7?
Another lesson with Tammy. And I'm a little bit unprepared today. Normally I think about what we're going to do in the class beforehand, but I'm in like making record mode and I've just forgotten. So you're going to have to remind me what we did. I can see there.
Yeah.
Okay, let's start at the top of your list. I love that you've got a little list. Finger stretches.
Yeah. So
how did you find it?
Good. So I've been doing the 5 minutes of finger stretches
Okay.
and then going into the major scale chords.
Okay.
Which does seem to help.
Yes.
Doing it straight after the stretch.
Good.
But
show me the finger stretch, and are there any problems with it that you want to mention beforehand?
It's horrible.
It's horrible?
Yeah. I'm really struggling with that finger to that finger. The other ones I can kind of get around, but it's that initial stretch which I definitely find the hardest.
Okay, so try and make sure that you keep your fingers round. That's it. So ideally, this part of your hand wants to be level with the fretboard all the time. That's the ideal situation.
What, your
right?
knuckle part?
Yeah, like across this part.
Yep.
That part of your hand should be like level with the fretboard. Just for this exercise, not for the real world playing part. That's it. So that's it. Now stretch. Really try and. That's the one. Good. Always keep them round. If they ever fold like that, you've got to stop that stuff straight away.
Yep.
Just keep on moving it up the. Just show me how you do it. Play it exactly like you've been practicing at home, so I can get a bit of a look at it and make sure that everything's going right. That's it. Good. Okay, just stop there for a second. So one thing that you're doing is going about twice too fast.
Okay.
Or possibly even more fast than that.
Okay.
The slower you do it, the more stretch you'll get. So if you think about it just like if you're doing exercise and you're trying to help someone with mobility and touching their toes, it's not like try and do it really quick. It's like, it's that slow, like, oh God, this hurts. And then went in the bit where it really hurts, sitting in it for a minute to try and make it help more. So with these ones, especially on the very first one, just to go to the first stretch, that's it. So just sit there for a second and like if it's feeling stretchy, let it feel stretchy for a little bit, not painfully so. That's it. And then add the rest on. And then just sit there for, if it's really feeling stretchy, particularly it should be feeling here a bit, just sit there for a bit and let the stretch kind of take a hold. It's not about doing it quick. That's not the point. The point is that stretchy, horrible feeling. Yeah. And you want to take as much of that as you can.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yep.
So try it again now, a little slower. That's it. Keep first finger. That's it. That's the one. Good. Next string.
Oh.
Doesn't matter. And here as well. So when you get to that one, if you're feeling stretchy, just hang for a second. Yeah? Then carry on. Good. That's it. Now curl little finger up, curl little finger up, curl little finger up. That's it. Keep going. Curl little finger up a bit more. That's it. See, it's doing that funny flicking. It's moving between the, because you want to keep it round, and the way to do that is to think about that hand going up a little bit more, which will increase the stretch again. That's it. Try and relax your shoulder. That's it. That's a good position. Good hand position.
Okay.
Yeah, you can see how these are kind of grouped together a bit and these splay out. That's all good. It's kind of like you're using the side of your little finger, right? Yeah. That's normal. Don't worry, it's not like it's going to make a problem because this is just a stretching exercise. It's not necessarily how you'd actually play for real.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yep.
Other than just being horrible, no problems with it?
No.
Do you know? You said you noticed it more with the first finger to the second finger. Does that mean your little finger can stretch out more? If you do
I
little
feel like
finger.
It goes more. What do you mean more?
Like you can stretch out the little finger easier?
Yeah, like it's the stretch and then it will settle, whereas I feel like those two just don't settle. It just is really hard every single time.
Show me the little finger extended. Put the others down. Oh, that's the all together one. Let's move that all back just one. That's it. So first, second right next door, third, little finger up. Okay, you find that easier? It looks easier actually.
Yeah,
for
I find that easier.
You just got little finger locky issues, so that's it. Try and keep it around.
Small.
I know
It's too small.
No, it's not. It's just that everyone's fingers are different shapes and sizes and have different. Like my finger will never do that. But what you just did with the, I can't even make it do it. The lock and then the end joint moving.
Yeah.
I just can't do it. It doesn't work for me. But try and keep it round as best you can.
Okay.
Yeah, that looks easier for you. So that first to second finger stretch is the one to work on the most. Yeah?
Yeah.
Are you doing like a timed 5-minute thing or just doing, yeah?
Yeah, I just did 5 minutes of that and then 5 minutes of the actual, with the plectrum, with the pick, which I find quite hard. I'm definitely still missing strings here and there.
Let's have a little look at doing that as well. It's funny, with the picking the scale stuff, just to keep you on track with it, and for anyone out there who's following along, it's not just about playing the scale. Yeah. There's all of these other elements like accuracy with the picking, alternate picking, eventually synchronization of the hands, that as you play a note there, you pick it at exactly the same time. And that's why like playing scales faster is a good idea. It's not actually, well, it is good if you want to play scales fast as well, but the byproduct of that is that it means every time you play, the synchronization between the hands is better.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So let's have a look at the G major. Yeah, starting on the root note, that's it. That's it. Alright.
It's one of those things where as soon as you get it wrong, it like completely falls to bit.
So here's a couple of things that you might like to try. You don't have to. You give it a go and see. First one, see if you can extend your little finger out. I know this where my pick guard is looks really skanky because the pick guard feel like it's still sticky even. I need to get another pick guard for it, and I just finding the right one and all of that. I haven't got around to it yet. But anyway, I should write to Maitland and say, could you send me a pick guard, please? I'm sure they would. Anyway. Try leaving your little finger just touching the guitar. It doesn't have to stay in the one spot. It can move around. In this case, it'll probably be stuck on the one spot, but normally it can move around.
Okay.
The idea is that it just creates a bridge between where your arm's resting on here and there, which means that it's a lot easier to gauge the distance the pick's moving.
Oh, okay.
Yeah? So just try that. Stick with all down. Have a go at doing the scale again. Just leave little finger down. See if it works better for you. Second finger start. That's it. But this is going good. Yeah. Did it find it? That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. Good. Okay. Excellent at the ending. Note choices is good. Let's talk about refining it now because you can do it. There's a few things that I want you to now start to become aware of. I want you to try and get the fingers a bit closer to the frets each time.
Yeah.
When the finger, if you just played that note there with the third finger, say, that's it. If your finger's back here in the fret and you play it, did you hear straight? The first one was, yeah, you have to press really hard here to get a note clear.
Yeah.
Whereas if you put the finger right there, you can press really lightly and still get a good note. That's part of the whole finger stretch exercise thing, is being able to get the fingers up near the frets.
Yeah.
A good alternative, because you're still working on your finger stretch, is to start up here on the 8th fret.
Okay.
So put the second finger there. Now let's play the scale again. So now we're going to be playing C major scale.
That's what I was going to ask you.
Yep.
Is it if it works like that? Cause
it absolutely works. And anything on the guitar that doesn't use open strings is movable.
Okay.
Anything. So every chord, arpeggio, all of, and scale, licks, whatever. As long as open strings aren't involved, you can move it up and down or change the key.
Okay.
the most important thing with that is knowing which is the root note. If you don't know which is the root note, you won't be able to move it to the right place.
Yeah.
Yeah? So let's just try and play that. This is now C major scale. Fingers near the frets each time. That's it. Now, better, good. Good. That's it. Good. Much better. Picking was much more controlled as well. I think the little finger down, creating the anchor point, is working for you.
There's less of a stretch there as well, though, isn't there?
There's less of a stretch there. So maybe have a go at working on C major for a bit, because what I don't want is on the G major, your fingers are you're doing quite a lot of angle here. So you're kind of going like this, and then having to move like this.
Yeah.
Whereas I'd like you to try and keep the fingers, just if I do it that they're not moving much.
Yeah.
That's what we're aiming for.
Yeah.
Now, the not moving the fingers around much is going to come with I want another couple of weeks of more confidence and being able to stay in one position first. Because if I worry about not lifting the fingers too much while you're still moving your hand, it's not going to work. But one thing I want you to just be aware of now, because I think you won't have any problem with the C major scale, with the stretchy stuff, is I want you to think about the quality of the notes. Especially in the kind of thing that you're likely to do.
Yeah.
It's not really about playing all fast.
Yeah. The
synchronization will come with a little bit more practice. But I want you to be aware of the quality of the note each time. And if it sounds a bit crappy, tell yourself, like, that wasn't good enough, and play it again.
Start again, yeah.
The reason being that if we're doing a recording and you want to play a melody line, or you're doing an improv, much more important that the notes sound really good.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the key thing. If the note doesn't sound good, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Whereas, I don't know, Sheryl Crow or somebody could do a guitar solo, not as good as the session cats that she actually gets there, but she'd be really aware of the note, the quality of the note, and that sort of would make it workable.
Yeah.
Make sense? So that's the key thing, moving it up to the C major scale, keeping the fingers nice and close to the frets, and thinking a bit more about the quality of the notes. You've got an anchor to worry about. Just stay with the all down picking for now. Probably next lesson we'll move on to looking at alternate picking and
with the improvising. I just found an old song I wrote that was in G major.
Yeah.
I found that almost all of the notes in the scale sounded quite good.
Yeah.
Whereas when I had a C major song and I was trying to do it with the C major notes, some of them sounded, a lot more of them sounded a bit funkier. I don't know why, or maybe that's just to my ear.
It could be the song, or it could be. Could it have been that you got the chords, that there was a chord in the C major that wasn't?
I think I just did C, D, G, D.
C, G, D, G.
C, D, G, D.
Okay, so C, G, D, G is G major scale, which is why it would have sounded funny. Even if it was starting on C, because you got C major and D major and G major.
Okay.
They're only together in G major scale.
Okay, that'll be why it didn't sound right.
That'll be why it didn't sound right.
Okay.
So the key is the chords that are involved, not like the first one or the last one or whatever. It has to be all of the ones in the same.
Yeah.
If you're in the key of C, it would be like C. The chords in the key of C would be C, F, and G. A minor, D minor, and E minor would be the 6 chords that you'd had in the key of C. So actually, let's make a note of that. Give me your
if I'd
page
done
for a second.
D minor instead of D major, it would have been okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So if we're moving to here to C major, hope you don't mind me writing on your thing. The chord for the improv, you'll have C, F, and G, A minor, D minor, and E minor chords in any order to improvise with the C major scale.
Okay.
Okay. We'll worry about the why and the how later. Let's have a quick go at doing that so I can see your improv. So we'll be in the key of C.
Okay.
That's it. Second finger 8th fret. That's it. And how would you start normally? Just if I play the chords, where are you going to start?
Where would I start?
Yeah.
In those 2 strings.
Yeah. Or Okay, the correct answer is not on the thickest string. Right?
Oh,
because
okay.
what a lot of people do when they're learning to improvise, they have that scale. So they start, every improvisation starts with that down the root. And it just sounds a bit silly.
It just sounds like a bass guitar, like a bass line when you do
Well, you know,
that.
it just sounds kind of beginnery because, like, people don't play that way.
Mm.
You know, I'm sorry, just checking that I'm not sitting there with my guitar whacking in the... Which I might have been, actually, so sorry, camera. Where's it? Yeah, that's it. Good. Yeah. Yeah? You're happy to try one?
I'll try.
Yeah? Here we go. 3, 4. Good. Great. Things that you're doing really well. Leaving space. Not trying to hurry all the time and play too many notes. You're going do, do, do. Have a little rest. That's really good. That's really nice and melodic. You could play a little harder.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's like nervousness or like just
I think so. It's just hesitation, yeah.
But when you... It's like if people are nervous, they don't feel as confident. People don't want to believe them. People that are really good blaggers are really super confident with what they're talking about, and it makes people believe it better.
Yeah.
With an improvisation, you really want to be fake it till you make it. Even if you're not confident, pretend that you're confident, so that it'll come across a bit better. But that's going great. Really good, really good listening. I could tell as soon as you hit a note that wasn't like the best note, you went do do. Oh yeah, you know. And the fact that you recognise it is really the key thing.
Okay.
If you don't recognise it, it's never going to work. The fact that you recognise it now, the more you do it, the more you kind of get a feel for like, oh, I think this is going to be the right note. You'll hear the chord change and you'll kind of guess where the right one is.
I definitely didn't overcomplicate it when I did some recording over myself. And sometimes it would literally just be like 2 notes repeated.
Yeah.
But I like the sound of those 2, and even just kind of doing that. And
especially when you get into like funky effects and stuff like that and digital delays, you can have loads of fun. Like look at the Edge or whatever. A lot of those things are just 2 or 3 notes with interesting effects on it. So wicked. Well done.
Cool.
With recording stuff, any dramas with doing that? You're having...
So, me and the metronome are still not friends.
Right.
But I found that if I brought in a drummer through Logic that was going at the timing that I needed, I could play along with the drummer so much easier than I can with a metronome.
Okay. That's
which might be cheating a little bit.
No, I mean... cheating... If it helps you make music, I don't think there is cheating in that way. Like, it's an important skill to be able to play with the metronome.
Yeah.
But if you're going to record, it's just as easy to stick a drum loop up. Funnily enough, when I record, I nearly always play with a drum loop, just because it feels a bit more musical. I play with a click sometimes if I have to, but I'd much rather play with drums.
I think I can feel the beat more with a drum than I can with a metronome, and I stay in time with it more than I do with a metronome. But
I think that you find that with...
it finds more natural maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, drums will help you know where 1 and 3 and 2 and 4 are, because you get that do ga ga do ga 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 1 2 ga 3 and 4 and do. So when it's just tick tick tick, it can be like, well, where's 1 and 2? You know.
Exactly. Yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with doing that, but particularly with scaly stuff, it's probably better to stick with playing a metronome.
Yeah.
Because it's playing with a drummer might help you veer off what you're supposed to be doing and just get all funky and creative when you should be doing boring mechanical practice.
Yep.
Great. So scale improv, the next task will be to have a go at using the C chords. Yeah?
Okay.
Really fun thing to do if you haven't tried it as well is just playing over one chord or two chords.
Okay.
I don't want to get into how that works exactly yet, but say for the C major scale, rather than having to have C, F, G, A minor, D minor, E minor, you might just play the whole solo over D minor.
Okay.
Yeah? So like if you think of it, it's called playing over a vamp, is the kind of the technical term, but let's try it. So C major scale, play a little harder. Just let me check the volume on here as well. Which one's the volume? That one. There we go. So I'm going to play a vamp on a D minor chord, and you're going to have a muck around with that, which, there we go.
Okay.
3, 4.
That's really hard, isn't it?
It's not so much hard, it's new.
Yeah.
You'll just find it, because what happens when you stick on one chord is that the notes that sound good and bad become a lot more obvious. So like you went, oh, and as soon as you hit that, I was like, oh! Actually, I think that's a really nice note to hit over it if you're confident enough with the sound. Can you play me a D minor?
A D minor.
Yeah. Swap those two.
Which two?
No. Second finger was good. First finger down a string.
Oh, yeah.
That's the one. So if you're playing that. What's interesting is this note, which was on the C chord, one of those ones that always sounds a bit like not sure. In D, it's awesome.
Yeah,
it's a really good one. This one is the funky one. It's a bit like, oh, really? You have to be a little bit careful. It's a spice that if you overdo it, it's going to spoil the dish.
When it's staying on one chord, I guess it's more about what you're playing rather than playing along with a chord progression. It's like more on you.
Yeah. Well, you have to find the melody. So when the chords are changing, the note that you're playing changes its quality against the chord. So if you're doing like those two note things, as the chords change, how those notes sound over the chords change, so it kind of makes its own thing. When you've got only one chord, you have to find the melody more, which is why I'm saying it's a fun thing to practice. Yeah?
Okay.
Try one more on a A minor. Yeah, same thing. So I'm going to play A minor, you're going to play C major scale. Yeah? 3, 4. A little louder. Now, can you hear? That's one note that sounds a bit funky, doesn't it? But don't be afraid of it. Don't go, oh, I can't play it anymore.
Yeah.
Experiment with its funkiness. Okay. How does it sound funky? Why does it sound funky? Because particularly that one, like going, can sound cool. Deliberately hitting it, but knowing that you're not hanging around on it, so you're not afraid of it being a funky note. You're like, this is a bit of one I have to be careful with, so I'm going to try and see how I can make it work, because all of those funky notes will work.
Yeah, it's just remembering the sound of each one after you've played it, and
but that's just again practice, doing it over, and the more you do this kind of individual thing, the more finely tuned that responding thing, the reactive listening that I call it. So that you're doing it really well already. So as I'm changing the chords, you can hear like, oh, that wasn't a great note, and moving it off, but that'll help make it even stronger, that feeling of what's right and wrong.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yep.
Okay, cage shapes experiments, all going good? You're just exploring it? Any questions, any problems?
I don't think so, no.
Because that's one that you'll probably find that you keep doing that for forever. I still muck around with that.
Yeah.
The concept when I'm writing is one of those things that I think is a real cool.
I struggle to... I liked how D sounds when you move it around.
Uh-huh.
But with the others, I've struggled to find kind of a way of piecing it together. If you know what I mean, as in like I can't hear quite how that would go or how you'd use it. But
so some of them, let's say C chord. Mm-hmm. If you play C, regular C, that's it. If you move it up 2 frets, that's it. That's a really nice D chord that you can use any time you've got a D.
Yeah.
You can play that. It's a D, what's it got, a 4 and a 2 in it. So sus 2 4, I suppose. I don't know. It's not a sus because it's got that add 2 add 4, I suppose you could call it. Doesn't matter. It's just like a sound that you can play instead of D. So if you were playing, I don't know, Knocking on Heaven's Door, instead of playing that regular D, you could go. You know, you can use it. It doesn't matter that it's got a funny name or that I didn't even know what the name of it was straight away. It really doesn't matter.
Okay.
If you move it up to here, that one, give it a strum. Make sure you hit that bass note because that's kind of what makes it. That's an F chord. It's an F major 7 add 9 or F major 9. Yeah? Okay. But it's a really interesting way. If you've got something that's going C to F, you could change it to that.
Okay.
And that's a really nice, there's one for you for this week to muck around with within the C major scale where it's going C to F. You could try doing that version.
Try it down a different,
Okay. G also works. So if you had C, F, G, C, F, G. Well, these are all in the G chord. Mm-hmm. That note's in a G chord anyway, that open string.
Yeah.
So the only one we're adding is the thinnest E string.
Okay.
Just like we played a G, but lifted that finger off.
Yeah.
Which we know we can do from our experiments with the chords of lifting different fingers off and changing stuff.
Yeah. So how are you figuring out where that is because of the root note?
There's the G. There's the F.
Yeah.
Now, those are just ones that I know work really well for the C chord, and that's kind of, a lot of the other shapes are weirder to use, like G. I'm not,
that's...
Like, I'm not really sure, I don't use it, right? It's a good idea to have played around with it and gone, oh, that one doesn't really work.
Yeah.
Yeah? E chord is great, there's loads of funky sounds that you can get with an E grip. D you said you liked already.
Yeah.
G we said doesn't work. A shape. You can make it work. It's not as easily moved around because it's a funny shape and you've got the fingers all stuck together. And I
think thinking of it in context of the root note will help. Because I think what I was doing was just finding like places where I like the sound of something and then going, oh, I wonder what G sounds like there, and it would be
okay. Yeah. That might not work. But just experimenting with it and going, what does it sound like here? I like the sound of it is fine. Mm-hmm. Right? So on a personal level, my balance always is trying to find the right line to walk between thinking and just hearing stuff. Because I know the theory stuff really well, it's almost impossible for me to switch it off. I can, but it's really hard. I have to really concentrate on not thinking about it.
Yeah.
For you, I don't want you to turn that off and think that you only can play stuff if you know what it is. Because that's not the right place.
Yeah.
The place is making things sound cool to you, especially if you're in a creative writing point. That's the point. Doesn't matter if you don't know what it's called. Doesn't matter if you can do anything that you like, and if you stumble upon something that sounds cool, then it is good.
Okay.
You don't have to worry about any of the other stuff.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Don't forget that. Understanding things can open doors for you, like this understanding that I've got these chord shapes, I can move them around, that there's only these chord, that's good. It's a tool that you can use for being creative, but it shouldn't be a restrictive tool for you.
Yeah. I think it's, I was trying to find the context of the major scale, and it took me a while to be like, oh, okay, so if it's a C major song, then you improvise at the C major point.
C major scale. Yeah,
and
exactly.
then it kind of was like, oh, that
That's
makes so much sense.
Yeah, exactly. That's how it works. Where it falls apart a bit is that you sometimes have chords that aren't in the key.
Yeah.
So if you've got, say you're doing that C major thing, and you've got C, F, G, A minor, D minor, and E minor, and then suddenly there's a D in it.
Yeah.
What do you do then?
Yeah.
Right? That's where we're not going to get there yet.
Okay.
I want you really confident with improvising within a key first, actually it's not that difficult, but it is another step up in what happens when it's changing keys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's really good. I don't want to take it any further than that right now. I don't want to go into blues improv or any of that sort of stuff, because I think that where you're at and where you're going with that is really good. Mm-hmm. You're progressing really well. And I don't want to just throw in some more stuff to make it go all horrible when you don't need to. We got a question there. Major scale patterns for other notes.
That's what we were just saying.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah. Have we started on learning the notes on the fretboard yet?
What do you mean?
Like all of the notes on the fretboard, other than just these? Because you've learnt the notes on the bottom two strings, right?
Yeah. No.
No?
No.
Okay. Do you know how to play an octave?
No.
Okay, so do you know what an octave is?
I'm going to say no.
Okay, do you remember that thing, the note circle that you did in the theory course? All 12 notes?
Yep.
One lap of that is an octave. So it's where you play, say, an E, and you go up to another E, 12 frets higher, that's an octave. So here, that's an octave higher, or is an octave lower. Okay. When you play the major scale, like this, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. You've got back to do. You started on do, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, do. That's an octave.
That's an octave.
Yeah? Now can you see that it makes a really nice shape on the guitar, which is this down two strings and up two frets. Makes it an octave. Mm-hmm. And it's actually the same here for this string as well. So the shape is the same. It's not all the time, so that major scale shape you can't just do it anywhere. But this first part you can. Yeah? The key thing is this 2 down, 2 up. Gives you the same note. From here, 2 down, 2 up. Sorry, I forgot to turn my phone off. It doesn't work to find notes on the B string. Okay. Right? We're going to have to learn a different pattern for that.
Okay.
But as a starting point, I want you to be aware of these octave shapes, so that if I wanted to say, what's that note? How would you reverse engineer it? No, hands off for a second. So I want that note. To find the octave, we go back 2 and up 2 strings, and it would be that note, which is what?
A sharp.
Good. Or
B flat.
Excellent. What's this note?
So go
That's
up
it.
2.
Back 2 and up 2 strings. That's it. And it is the note
F.
F. Well done. What about that note?
C sharp.
Hey, going great. That one. Yep.
C.
Excellent. You got it.
Okay.
So now, do you know the thinner string? What note's the thinner string?
An E.
An E. What note's the thickest string?
An E.
Right. So if you find a note, if I ask you what that note is, what is it? It's the same as the bottom string.
Oh, okay.
Because they're both E's. So they're both F's. They're both F sharps. They're both G's. So the outside 2 strings are always the same note.
Okay.
So if that's a C, that's a C. What
okay.
note's that?
A.
A. Easy. So now, using just that one octave shape and understanding that it's actually a double octave between the outside two strings, you can find any of the notes on the guitar fretboard except for the ones on the B string.
Okay.
Right? We'll handle the B string separately because it's a different pattern. I'd rather you just do those ones. So on the practice list, what I want you to do, particularly the middle two strings, I don't think you need to practice the thinner string because it's just the same.
Yep.
But I want you to just randomly put your fingers on any note on the... Yes, enough phone. I got that. You've got a message for me. I'll pick it up in a minute. Pick a note and then go back to, get over, and you'll know that note as well.
Okay.
Yeah? Knowing the notes on the fretboard is one of those things that a lot of people don't do, and even people that have been playing 20 years don't know the notes on the fretboard. Guitar is the only instrument where people think that's okay. If you play piano or saxophone or violin, you know the notes on the instrument. That's just like, what do you mean you don't know what the note is?
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense not to know it. Okay, especially that was pretty easy, right? Mm-hmm. And you now know all of them except 5/6 of the guitar fretboard. You know already. Yeah. Right. I just want you to get used to seeing this two back and two up or whatever.
Okay.
A little bit of practice on it. It'll also kind of help reinforce that one. There are other techniques I want you to do as well, but that's the first step on getting to know the fretboard. Okay. Yeah? Yep. Discoveries. Metronome easier when it's a drum, that's fine. And
I've just been having Logic fun.
Logic fun, yeah. With that one chord thing, have you got a keyboard at home?
No.
No? Okay. Be a handy little thing to get, any sort of MIDI keyboard that you can plug in the computer. Just because if you've got the drum thing going on... Yep. Actually, no, Logic's got bass and keyboards as well.
I think so.
Actually, I'm sure I haven't used that because I'd rather just play it. But when you're doing the one chord thing, maybe record yourself playing like A minor for ages. Okay. Put with some drums, and then put some keyboards or bass on there as well. So really, you get that whole bandy thing, just because it'll be a fun thing for you to explore as well. Okay. I think you know already. I'm just about to start doing a record, so everything's going to be set up very soon for us to be able to play and record stuff properly. I thought about trying to do it today, but because everything is actually, you can't see people in the camera, but there's stuff all over the place here because I'm still setting up. Something that you can have a little bit of fun with. We just had a little off-camera chat because I was debating what things to give Tammy, and she mentioned that she's doing recording but getting ideas, but they're not songs. Yeah. So how do we go from an idea into a song? Any ideas? What would be a process that you could use to do that? Is there a process, or is it different every time?
It's different for me every time.
Right. So do you remember weeks and weeks ago that you did a little bit period of analysis of songs, and you realised that there was this verses and choruses thing, and that there was a basic structure of this verse, chorus, bridge, chorus. Remember that? So if you take an idea, you need kind of at least two ideas to get a song going that are related to each other, preferably that you can go from one into the other one and back to the first one again, and make it work. But as soon as you've got that, let's say you've got a first idea which is a chord progression. Let's say it goes C, F and G. It goes C, F, G, C. That's your chord progression for the first one, right? And you're like, I've got this little melody idea that works for that. And you go, well, that's going to be my verse. So it's likely to be 8 bars or 16 bars long. Just naturally, most people tend to write in that length. And that's a good idea because melodies are easier to phrase in that kind of context. So you've got, let's say it's an 8-bar sequence. So it goes C, F, G, C, C, F, G, C. Yeah, 1 bar of each chord. Yep. You record that and that's your verse 1. What normally comes after verse 1? Remember from the basic song structure lesson?
A bridge or a chorus?
No.
A verse 2.
Verse 2. Okay, so you've got that 8-bar sequence. So you record it once and then you copy it. And it can be quite easy to, you can play it again if you want, but if you've recorded already, just copy it, grab it in Logic and copy it over again. So you got verse 1, verse 2. What comes after verse 1, verse 2? Chorus. Okay, so that's your second chord progression that you need. So let's say it was A minor, D minor, E minor, A minor. I'm just picking the chords in the key of C and just cut the major ones into one half and the minor ones in the other half. So that becomes your chorus. A minor, D minor, E minor, A minor. How long's the chorus going to be? same as the verse? Different, shorter, longer? Does it matter?
No.
No, it's different all the time. Okay, so you just have to feel it out a bit. And a lot of the thing that's interesting and different and fun about songwriting is that there aren't any rules, and you could have like really long verses and tiny choruses, or tiny verses and long choruses, or they could be the same. You have to develop a kind of a gut instinct for that kind of thing, and see what feels right for you when you play. Like, does this feel like it wants to go to the verse now? Because you might play the verse, chorus, and go, it's too long. It's too many verses. So you just go verse, chorus, verse, chorus. You might go half through the chorus and go, this chorus needs to be longer. It doesn't feel right going. It's got to be feeling it out, listening to it. It's one of the hardest things because there's no right or wrong. No one can tell you for definite one way or the other. I mean, there's people, I often listen to songs and go, man, that's like, there's too many verses there before the chorus. And I might be wrong, and if the person really feels it, then I am wrong if they're writing it. But as a producer, you can kind of get a feeling for what's right or wrong. But as a songwriter, you need to develop a bit of that. Yeah. Yeah? So if you got two ideas, you got verse, chorus, then you got bridge. Now, for most people, if they've got two ideas, the bridge is something that just comes about later, that you go, right, well, I've got this chorus. What happens after the bridge? Yeah. What happens after a bridge?
Go back to the chorus.
You go back to the chorus. So you need to write a bridge that is comfortable going from the chorus and back into the chorus. Yeah. So chords-wise, you want to play a bit of the chorus, chords, and then go, where can I go? And then just try something. Just go, do-do-do-ba-da-ba-da, oh, no, that wasn't very good. Do-do-do-ba-da, no, that wasn't very good. And you just keep experimenting with where it's going from the chorus to get into a bridge. Then you write a little bridge section. You've got to find a way of going back from the bridge into the chorus. Does it work? No. Then I'm going to have to change the last chord of the bridge into a chord that works going back into the chorus again. And then you've got chorus. So you could start with just using, if you're using Logic drums, just use one drum pattern, press the L button that loops it for forever. Yeah. And then structure, just copy your guitar parts around to get that song form. Yeah. And then once the form's in place, you can start mucking around with melodies. You can. It's always changeable. So at any point you can go, I don't like that verse, I'm going to move that, or I'm going to change that chord to this.
I think that's the point, is I get too fussy, and rather than just being like, just let it play out and see how it turns out, I'm kind of just like, no, don't like that, start again. No, don't like that, start again.
You're going to have to be more malleable with it. And I can't remember, I think it was one of the Beatles that it's got some quote about that the song's not, you haven't written a song until it's finished and played, but it doesn't matter if it's a good song or a bad song. You're better off just having a song, and then you can always change it. Yeah. You know, particularly if you're writing with other people, it's a really good idea to get into the practice of like, let's just write a song. Let's not worry about if it's a good song or a bad song. Let's just write a tune, because we can always revisit it, change it, edit it. Yeah. And part of that, for me, and especially I'm right in the middle of kind of songwriting process mode, it's about having these ideas that are changeable. I just want to have loads of little ideas that I can play about with. Last night I had one, you find it on my Instagram feed. It was literally, I turned that new amp on, got a sound, I was feeling the sound so much that I had a little riff, and I'm like, oh, this is a cool riff, where does the riff go? And then I went, well, I might try this chord. And I was like, oh, this chord, oh, that chord. And I happened to have a chord progression that became kind of a chorusy part, that just accidentally came out okay. As soon as I had a riff and a chorus, I get the computer on, I put on a drum groove, played it a few times. I haven't got a bridge for that one yet, but I'm starting to feel out how's it going to work, where's the melody going to go.
Yeah, it's got...
But there's no... I might decide in a week that actually it wasn't really a very good riff and I don't like it enough. Yeah. But I don't know yet, and I'm not trying to be too much in the evaluation mode. I just want to get a song there. So that would be a good exercise for you, would be to say, before the next lesson, can you get a song?
Just complete something.
A tune. Yeah. Doesn't matter if it's a good tune. Don't aim for it to be like, I want to write songs better than the Beatles by 2 weeks' time. Just be like, can I take an idea or two ideas and then knock it into a song structure, create a third idea for the bridge, and then I've got a tune, I've got a melody. Yeah? Yeah. Often you'll find vocals dictated, for me at least. So I have an idea, If I've got chords, I'll practice singing along. I often do lots of scatting. I don't know, have you tried scat?
I haven't tried it, but
Right.
I know. Yeah.
So I'll make up gibberish words. So I'll just sing. I usually do it on my own or just with my mate Owen, the producer, where I definitely wouldn't do it in front of people generally, because I'm just, it's like the words can be so random and weird and funny, and I'm just looking for the sounds of the words, how they come out, trying to find a phrase, and then I'll listen back to it and find the bits that I like the sound of, keep those bits, and then I might write a lyric that fits those kind of funny sounds, you know. But if I'm like, well, this works really well, but it didn't work with that chord, I might change the chord for the melody, because the melody is kind of more important than the chords, usually, to me. But not all the time. There's no rules. That's just how I feel about it.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That was a bit of a an unexpected rant on writing. So, just to recap, more finger stretching exercises. Making sure that you slow it down a little bit, making sure that you really feel the stretch all the time.
Yep.
G major scale, we're going to move to C major scale, so it's up at the 8th fret, working on the quality of the notes, getting the fingers next to the frets. The quality of the notes thing will probably involve slowing down a little bit, so don't be afraid to slow it down. It's not a speed thing yet.
Yep.
Then you've got scale improv, but now in the key of C, using those chords in the key of C, C, F and G, A minor, D minor, E minor, continuing with the cage experiments, but maybe trying to settle on a few that you like the sound of and then deliberately try and use them. Yeah?
Okay.
And then that's enough. And then write a song.
Cool.
Or two.
Two or three.
Makes sense? Or three. Or as many as you... The more you do it, the more you get used to the form, the better and easier it's going to be.
It'd be good practice for me to just complete one, because I've just been going back, revisiting old ones and experimenting with them with the new stuff I've learnt.
Yeah.
So coming out of the system that I'm really used to and using the open chords, and that's been fun, but I definitely need to do just a new one, get back into the habit of it.
I really think it's a muscle, and I can feel like the last 2 weeks that I've been really focused on like finding ideas, and I've gone through all my old my phone, the voice memos on my phone where I record little ideas and just listening to them, and then find it's like, wow, this is a great idea, why didn't I do more with that at the time? And then I've saved them onto the computer, and now I go through, relearn them, and then see if they've got legs. How much am I feeling it? Is it really... Sometimes ideas feel like amazing at the time, and then a little while later I'm like, really? I thought that was a good idea. There's no rules. Just have fun. Okay, I think that's it for today. Say bye-bye to people over there.
Camera.
The actual camera. There we go. See you all again in a few weeks. Bye-bye.